Hi everyone, welcome back. I am very excited for today's video, and I think so was the CVS employee who was forced to print out all of my pictures for today. I've been watching a lot of video essays recapping various shows that I'm into, and I was thinking about how I too could also do a video essay about something I'm interested in, and what else could I be interested in but Enhypen. So for today's video, we're going to be recapping Enhypen's entire cinematic lore. I'm not going to be going too much into depth into the webtoon specifically, only because that is currently airing on Crunchyroll, so I could do a separate video on that another time. If you're thinking about getting into Enhypen and you love a deep, vampiric, yearny, angsty lore, then this is for you. I even bought a stick for this. I did some serious research for this video, so don't mind me. All right, let's get started. I'm going to go through these in the order that they were released, but I will, however, talk at the end of the video of various ways that some people choose to interpret the timeline of which these take place. I'm just going through them in chronological order based on how they came out. The main heroine in the Dark Moon universe is named 𝃗Stream. She is, I believe, Helly's love interest in the webtoon, but for our purposes, she is Sunghoon's love interest. The trailer starts with Hee-sung having a dream about Sunghoon protecting 𝃗Stream. We don't exactly know why Enhypen is going after them, but we do know that when Hee-sung wakes up, he is betrayed and he is not happy. And he goes upstairs in this large building where he meets the other members of Enhypen. They do this little dancey dance, they put their hands in the middle, and they eventually choose Jungwon as the first out of them to begin going after Sunghoon and 𝃗Stream. They all kind of magically join into one body, where then Jungwon decides to go chasing after Sunghoon on his motorcycle. Sunghoon, who is with 𝃗Stream, kind of sees it coming and he gets on this black horse and they are, I'm assuming, running to get away and out of the city when they encounter Jungwon underneath a bridge. Sunghoon and Jungwon basically start fighting it out. They go back and forth a couple times, throwing punches, throwing kicks, throwing everything until eventually Sunghoon kills Jungwon. So Jungwon is dead, and Sunghoon believes that he has, neutralized the threat. So he takes 𝃗Stream to an abandoned warehouse, where obviously 𝃗Stream is very shaken up. She's crying, she's upset. We still don't really fully know why Enhypen's after her, but nonetheless, Sunghoon does his best to try to cheer her up. He's doing all these really funny, silly faces. He is doing what he can to make the best out of the situation. Eventually, we cut back to Jungwon, who is no longer Jungwon, actually, and it's another person standing up. It is Nikki up next on our list of people because, as you remember, they were conjoined into one body. So now, obviously, Nikki is double pissed because Jungwon is dead and it's his turn. Nikki tracks down Sunghoon and 𝃗Stream in the woods where Sunghoon tells 𝃗Stream to run, basically, run for her life, and Sunghoon and Nikki start battling it out. They're fighting with swords, basically going back and forth all around. 𝃗Stream is running. She eventually falls in the snow. Her nose starts bleeding. Sunghoon and Nikki are still battling it out until eventually Nikki kind of gets a one-up on Sunghoon. But then Sunghoon comes back and he stabs Nikki, killing him. Unbeknownst to Sunghoon, Nikki and the other members of Enhypen are still all conjoined. So eventually, when Nikki dies, Jae takes his place. And along with him, Jake and Sunwoo also join the party and they grab Sunghoon and restrain him and I'm assuming injure him probably. 𝃗Stream then gets up and continues running and she's like running for her life. She runs into Jae and Jae kind of stops her. He doesn't hurt her, but he doesn't let her go either. She eventually bites Jae, which again, this is all kind of through my own lens. I'm still not entirely sure if 𝃗Stream is human or a vampire. I think she's a vampire, but I don't know, don't quote me on that. She bites Jae, and when Jae dies, so do Sunwoo and Jake. They all fall into the snow. Everyone's kind of dead. I think because she bit Jae and they're all still connected, they just all died. Also, I have no idea where Hee-sung is in all of this. We don't see him again, so plot hole? I don't know. Eventually, 𝃗Stream takes Sunghoon and the two of them start walking away. Sunghoon is injured. They make their way to the side of the road where Sunghoon kind of realizes and accepts that he's dying and he asks 𝃗Stream, who is serving major face, to bite him one last time. So 𝃗Stream says goodbye. She bites him and Sunghoon disintegrates into nothingness, Avenger style. Eventually, in the epilogue, we see bits of 𝃗Stream on a swing, and then we also see all the Enhypen members all together dressed in white. The video ends with just the horse kind of riding in the tunnel where Jungwon and Sunghoon first fought. And that is the first concept trailer. That was the concept trailer that gave us Bite Me as a title track. And Dark Blood is honestly my favorite Enhypen album, so very solid, strong start. If you're wondering why Cowboy J is here, he is not from this era. He is from an era in the future. He just looked so handsome in that. And, well, I'm a J girl at heart, so you can't blame me. Honestly, preparing for this video taught me quite a few things, but one of them being I do not own a single plain white t-shirt, so Black Cat J shirt it is. The second concept film we got was for Orange Blood. And I have to state now, I will be a little biased towards this one. It is my favorite concept film. It was shot so beautifully. The colors were beautiful. We got the acoustic kind of instrumental version of Orange Flower. It just is so beautiful in so many ways. So let's get started. The concept trailer picks up, I'm assuming, right after Dark Blood is done. All of the Enhypen members are kind of washing up ashore on this beach. It's very gray, it's very dull. Everyone is a little bit sad, but also at the same time kind of relieved. They're all floating in the water, as well as 𝃗Stream, who is helping the members kind of get out of the ocean. If you noticed in the Dark Blood concept trailer, a lot of it was through Sunghoon's POV, so in this one we kind of get a shift more through Sunwoo's eyes, who sees 𝃗Stream coming out of the ocean. All the members reunite, everyone's crying, and Sunghoon is kind of looking at 𝃗Stream with a little bit of like a face. It's hard to interpret what this means right at this time, but it's just worth noting. We then cut and we open to the glorious Sunwoo waking up in this like cute little witchy hut type of thing. He is kind of feeling his surroundings, he's looking at his hands, and we kind of get a sense that he's sort of feeling new sensations that he's never felt before. And he eventually gets up and he looks out the window and he sees Ki-sung and some of the other members calling to him. And they start this beautiful montage basically of them experiencing being human for the first time since they've been vampires for so long. So we get this beautiful artsy shot of them running through a field of sunflowers. We have the iconic Orange Flower like acoustic thing. I am still holding out hope that they're going to put that on Spotify. Same way I'm still holding out hope they're going to put Chamber 5 on Spotify. But anyways, I digress. We see Jay falling over in the field and he is like, oh my gosh, ouch, my elbow. But then he's smiling because he can feel pain now. We have Jungwon riding in the back of a convertible, feeling the air. They are so happily dancing. Taking this screenshot was honestly so fun. I wanted to find one where they just seemed so elated, and Nikki just really sells that for me. We also see the gorgeous Jakey and Ki-sung jumping off a rock, basically. Super fun, super human, super sick things. They're like hanging out with 𝃗Stream and they're walking down this big road, eating, having fun. Everyone is having just the best time ever. Until we suddenly are met with Sunwoo, who is asleep in like the dark. There's fire everywhere. We have no idea where it's coming from. Sunwoo's like, where is everyone? I think there quite literally is a screenshot of the subtitles at the bottom that just says guys. That is one of my favorites. Sunwoo eventually walks down this like long winding road and he comes across a house. I'm actually not entirely sure if this is the house where he was sleeping at before, but he sees 𝃗Stream at the top, trapped, just like banging on the window like, let me out, let me out. And he is like, what the hell? Because he was just hanging out with 𝃗Stream. She literally made him an egg on a tortilla. What just happened? We then see a scary looking person behind him. It's 𝃗Stream? I actually was confused by this when I first watched, but upon doing further research, that is actually Celine, and she is from the webtoon. And if I'm correct, she is an evil 𝃗Stream variant of some sort. Anyways, she grabs Sunwoo and she takes him up into this house, which she is now burning down, and she bites him. While all of this is happening, we get the most moving, most amazing, most Oscar-worthy performance from our members, especially Jay, who is just thrashing and out of control. They cannot save Sunwoo. He is now bitten. He's dead, maybe, or turning. We don't really know. And we also get a close-up shot of Sunghoon, who has this kind of guilty look on his face, which makes you think back to the first shot of him looking guilty. Obviously makes you question, like, what did Sunghoon know? Was he in on it? Did he know 𝃗Stream was Celine, or did he just suspect? Either way, he didn't say anything. It's all a bit tricky. The final shot in the concept trailer is of the members looking at the house burning down. I hesitate to say whether or not Sunwoo was still in the house, but either way, it's a very somber note to end. They started out on such a high, being humans, experiencing human kind of pain and happiness, but in the end, because they're no longer vampires, they could no longer save Sunwoo, so their humanness low-key kicked them in the butt. I cannot emphasize enough how good this concept film was when it came out. It is just absolutely visually stunning. You can see the colors here already are so different than what we had in the Dark Blood concept film. I'm more in this era. It was so good. Guys, I went to Tous les Jours. They just like opened one near my house. Kind of good. The third installment in concept films came from our beloved Romance Untold. This is one of my all-time favorite albums. It came out in the summer. Vibes were high. We got moonstruck. And of course, we have Heesung serving crazy amounts of face. This one kicks right into action immediately with a opening news broadcast that is talking about a massive vampire extermination operation. Basically, they were declaring that there was going to be the end of coexistence between vampires and humans, and also that they wanted to eradicate all vampires. Yikes, not good for our crew. The first time we see them, they're all in this kind of dingy room and they're all watching the broadcast and looking around worriedly. We see Heesung looking out the blinds and looking into the streets and seeing that there are police cars everywhere and that it is just generally very unsafe. So he tells the rest of the guys, hey, we need to leave. They start packing up all their guns, all their blood bags. They've gathered all their supplies. They start sneaking out of their garage that they're in, and they cross through this alleyway that is filled with wanted posters of them. Their faces are literally plastered everywhere. They are being hunted. They reach the area where their getaway car is. They have this very beautiful slow motion shot of them walking. And we see that Jungwon kind of stays behind and starts walking over elsewhere where he looks kind of conflicted and he sees this small piano. The other members are kind of like, hey, what's up? Like, what are you doing? Jungwon answers that he can't leave without Chloe. Who is Chloe? We've only known Suha and Selena up until now. From what I've gathered, again, Chloe is like another Suha variant. I'm not entirely sure. We're just gonna go with it. The other members ask Jungwon what he means, and Jungwon says that he had promised Chloe that he would take her to Riverfield, which is where they are going in their escape. Most of them are on board with this idea, except for Heesung, who is a little bit apprehensive. He brings up that Chloe is human, and humans are the ones that are actively hunting them right now. Jay speaks up and says that Chloe is different from the other humans, that she doesn't want to do that. Sunu agrees, and Sunghoon brings up that wherever Chloe is might not be too long of a drive and they just have to go and get her. Heesung once again points out that this could be really risky and he just wants to make sure that everyone is on board, to which everyone agrees they should go and get Chloe. Which, to everyone's dismay, Heesung may have been right, but they all eventually pack into their SUV and they start driving through the city center to get to the music room, which is where they hung out with Chloe. They write music, they like to play instruments together, and this is Chloe. She is faceless for the duration of this, but we can gather that she is who they are talking about. She films them through like an 8mm camera, and so we get these really beautiful artsy shots of them, basically pointing out the nostalgia of the fun times that they have had in this music store. As they're driving through the city center, they see that there are policemen everywhere, and one of them eventually stops the SUV, asks them to pull down the window, to which Jake then delivers the most iconic line of the entire Enhypen Cinematic universe.
Just heading towards Town Square.
Just heading towards Town Square. This line went platinum in our apartment, okay? Anytime we had to go anywhere, where are you going? Just heading towards Town Square. It just was iconic. The policeman finally is like, all right, yeah, you can go. But he has this weird energy. Like, he kind of knows what's going on. Jake rolls up the window. They keep driving. And what do you know? The policeman knows who they are. The entire police force starts shooting at them. Bang, 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 bang. And they eventually crash into the music store. The car miraculously doesn't blow up, but it's all kind of quiet. The police are like approaching and they're like, are they there? Are they not? We then see Sunu falling out of the car and the car door kind of also falling with him, and they're getting close to him trying to see if he is dead. They're poking and prodding at him and they're looking at his fangs, which killer shot of Sunu's lips. And the main police guy yells out, aim for the vampire's head, but it is too late because Sunu has grabbed this man and proceeded to just start beating the shit out of everybody. I know. Guns are flying, the back of the SUV falls out, and who is there? Jay and Jungwon. Bang, 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 bang. Then the top of the SUV flies off, and who's there? Nikki. He is flying and shooting bullets at everyone. It is crazy. It is mayhem. Everyone's shooting. Eventually, Nikki gets shot. Which, first of all, how dare you? Eventually, all of them are just getting shot at too much. It's all crazy. And a bomb goes off at the music store and it blows up. everyone is dead. Or so we think. Not our vampires. Sung-hoon gets up. He starts making his way towards the music store to see one last time if Chloe is there. He also takes the time to shoot another one of the police guys in the face because he was basically like, you stupid vampire. And Sung-hoon was like, I'm not having any of that. He gets to the music store. It is totally destroyed. There is nothing there. And Chloe is also nowhere to be found. So we actually have no idea where she ended up. But we do see that Sung-hoon grabs a tape recorder. He opens it and he pulls out a tape that says XO. At the time, we had no idea that this would be the main name of the title track, which was XO, only if you say yes. We see Sung-hoon get back into the SUV. He inserts the tape into the tape player in the car. The glorious melody of XO starts playing again. At the time, we had no clue that this was oh my god, this was the melody for the title track. But he and the other members start having flashbacks of when they were writing this particular song with Chloe, and he titled it Only If You Say Yes. We get some shots of the members crying and what I assume is thinking back on times with Chloe. Again, we really have no idea where she ended up. And it is all just very sad, kind of a defeated sort of feeling. And our final shot is Sung-hoon near tears, holding them back, looking up, and the tape flipping from XO to just O. There was a mixed reaction to this concept film. I think because the two previous ones had been kind of a little bit more artsy, and this was definitely more in the action department. I personally really liked this one. Is it my favorite? No, but I didn't think it was bad by any means. And I just really liked that this was kind of out of their comfort zone, very different than what we had seen from them. So, pretty good all in all. I haven't worn a blazer since I was in college. Look, it even has a B on it. The fourth, and arguably also one of my favorites, Desire Unleashed concept trailer. Now, when this hit the timeline, I was geeked. I was geeking like crazy. I just was obsessed with the aesthetic of it. So let's get right into it. We start out in this like kind of city area where we see Jungwon and Sung-hoon, who are walking side by side, and they're looking at the moon, which is turning red. Like, we are immediately thrown into it. Sung-hoon starts getting all these weird like tingly visions, and Jungwon tells him that he thinks it's time, and Sung-hoon is like, agreed. We then see Hee-sung, who is in a big vampy mansion, and he is writing a letter, and he has the television on, which is playing this nighttime show with Jimmy Reed, I believe his name is. And Hee-sung is watching because Jimmy Reed has invited Jay and Jake to be on his show. We then see that actually Nikki is the one watching the show, which begs the question, are we still doing kind of the mixed body type of thing where they're like all in one body kind of? So in the mansion, we have Hee-sung and Nikki. Together are Sung-hoon and Jungwon, and then at the TV station is Jay and Jake, and we have not seen Sunny yet. Jimmy explains to the audience that he has invited Jay and Jake tonight to talk about what it means to be a vampire. We finally cut to in the studio where we see that Jimmy is asking sort of the typical cliche vampire questions. Do you drink blood? Do you live forever? Jay actually gives no answer to this, but we do see that they are in fact in a live studio audience. There's people in the crowd watching, they're applauding, there's camera people. Jimmy then asks Jay why he's on national television, and as the camera moves, we actually see that Jake is in the guest seat. Jake leans forward kind of ominously, and he tells Jimmy, because I want to be seen, to remind you that I exist, to remind myself. Kind of an ominous answer to which I think Jimmy would agree, because he is like, what? No matter to us, because Jake then looks into the audience and he starts surveying where he notices a scary monster. Jimmy notices that Jake is looking at something in the audience, and he too looks, but he doesn't see what he's seeing. So clearly this monster is all in our heads. The vibe gets kind of uncomfortable, but Jimmy brings it back and he tells Jay, who is now back in the guest chair, that he has loads of questions for him. We cut back to Nikki drinking some blood and continuing to watch the segment as it is airing. But then Jimmy brings up a very important question. Do you feel emotions? And he names a couple as an example: love, guilt, desire, to which Jay actually answers desire, because it is the one thing that never dies. And I'm going to point out as well, you can really see my Jay bias peeking through in this recap, because Jay just looked so good in this concept film. Anywho, Hee-sung is watching this and he kind of has this odd look on his face. He takes a big swig of his wine, and we then cut to him walking up to this mysterious woman in white. She kind of looks like a bit like a heavenly figure, and we don't really see her face, but she clearly is very magnetic, because Hee-sung is walking up to her and he reaches out his hand towards her, but then she starts turning into like a scary monster, and Hee-sung is like, oh my gosh, what the heck, and he kind of backs away from her. During this as well, we see that Nikki is also there, so they're still kind of in interchangeable places. We don't really know who's there, but I'm assuming just kind of all of them. It is said that she is the embodiment of desire, and that is why Heesung went to her directly after Jay spoke about feeling desire and it being the one thing that never dies, but that is just an interpretation of it that I've seen. We then are blessed with the arrival of my king, Sunu, who is getting into an elevator where he is going to meet someone. Behind him in the elevator come in this couple who press a different button at the elevator. They proceed to look at Sunu in like a I'm gonna laugh at you in your face, but I'm gonna let you see it type of way. And Sunu, obviously, is not gonna take that lightly, so he eats them. He drinks their blood, and he comes out of the elevator and he wipes the blood, and boom, he is just serving crazy face, hence why he gets the big portrait in this video. He walks out of the elevator to meet Jungwon, and they are approaching this door that is armed by a security guard who pulls out a card. We can see the card, but they can't see the card, and Jungwon just says, "Tower." Now that the security guard has verified that they are in fact vampires because he was able to guess the card correctly, they are let in to this nightclub. It's a vampire nightclub. You can see people in the around, like the surroundings, kind of drinking each other's blood and partying and everything, but Sunu and Jungwon are on a mission. They walk through this crowd of people until they eventually reach a back private room where Sunghoon is waiting for them. Sunghoon is like, "Hey, what's been taking you so long?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're sorry." They sit down, start drinking their blood, to which Sunu brings up that they have waited too long. And Jungwon agrees, but he tells him that the wait is now over. We then cut back to Jake, who is again in the guest chair with Jimmy, and we see that he is kind of giving Jimmy's neck, specifically his like vein area, kind of a little desireful look, if you will. We see that Jimmy is asking Jake what happens when you truly love someone, when you truly desire them, and Jake doesn't really have time to answer because we see that the big scary monster is actually sitting directly next to him, and the monster says into what I assume is Jake's head that you desire to destroy the things you love, and he tells him that that is who he is, that he is cursed. And again, we cut back to Jay, who is now in the guest chair. I still can't really, I don't really know. I suppose you see who you want to see. But Jay answers that you want to destroy them, the things that you love. We see that some people have gathered outside of a television station that is like full of televisions to see this like broadcast that is happening. And Jimmy once again asks for clarification. If this is true, if you desire to destroy the things you love, then what do you love? Is it a curse? Jake is kind of battling on the inside with this monster, and Jay once again reiterates its desire. Everyone in the audience is kind of put off by this. We don't really know. Jimmy is also like, what is going on? The moon is fully red now, and we also see that the lights at the club start flickering, and our trio, Sunu, Jungwon, and Sunghoon, have all disappeared. The lights also start flickering at the television studio, which eventually leads to a power outage. We see that some of their emergency lights start turning on, but everyone in the audience is panicking. They don't know what's going on. Jimmy's telling everyone to stay calm, that everything is going to be okay. I'd like to point out that I think I would be a magnificent extra in one of these Enhypen concept trailers. I really think I too could also pull off scared audience member. I can play cashier, I can play flight attendant, I can play anything. I would kill to be an extra in one of these. You have no clue. Amidst all this chaos, Jimmy looks over and he sees our favorite trio, Sunghoon, Jungwon, and Sunu. And he's like, "Where did you come from?" To which then we get the most majestic, most beautiful shot of Jay grabbing Jimmy and shoving him in his chair. Jimmy then is all like, "What on earth is happening?" And Jimmy has no idea that this is actually many Enjin's dream scenario. But eventually he sees that Sunu, Sunghoon, Jungwon, and Jae are all looking at him with what I can only be described as visceral hunger. I had to print this out multiple times because again, truly, like this did numbers in my apartment, okay? This shot, this moment, this just Jay looking absolutely gorgeous. Oh, chef's kiss. We then hear Jimmy get eaten, basically, and we see this amazingly wonderful performance by Jake, who is acting like a crazy psycho killer. And we also see that the TVs at the TV store are all kind of going in and out because of the power outage that was caused. There's so many people there, and eventually the TVs turn back on to where they see Jungwon, Sunu, Jake, and Sunghoon all standing next to a dead Jimmy, and the camera is zooming in on Jake, whose mouth is full of blood. So now now everybody knows that they are vampires. The final shot of the concept trailer is kind of an overview of the studio until eventually we get to Jimmy's hand and we see that his hand actually twitches, which sort of sets up that he either became a vampire and or he survived and may live to tell the tale. We're not exactly sure. This was such a good concept trailer. I was obsessed with it when it came out. I thought it was amazingly shot. The colors were beautiful. There's just so much happening in terms of lighting. 10 out of 10. Storyline wise, I thought this fit perfectly with everything. Now, we actually didn't get full concept films for Enhypen's latest album, The Sin Vanish, but we did get these things called chapters, and there were 4 of them for 4 of the Enhypen songs that were on the album. The only one that we didn't get a chapter for was Sleep Tight, unfortunately, but the rest of them did get one. They don't have as much lore just because they are shorter and there's actually no dialogue, so I'm just gonna go through these quickly. The first one that came out was for their song called No Way Back. As you can see in the, oh wait, I literally have to say it's the intro song on the album and it is so good, majestic. But basically it starts out with this animation in this really kind of fun style of this vampire, which I'm assuming is Sung-hoon. It's what I've been seeing kind of online, of him going to bite this girl, but these people are after him and he eventually meets back up with the members. He takes their escape plan, rolls it up, and he grabs Suha and they run. They end up at this cave where they are basically escaping from a bunch of other vampires. So they're running in and they are laying out their plans. Beautiful, majestic shots of Jungwon and Jae. Now, I know this one isn't from No Way Back, but I just forgot to print one for No Way Back, and I thought Pookie fit this best. So he gets to be in the middle twice. A bunch of bats, which I'm assuming are other vampires, start like surrounding them and they're trying to dodge them. The cave kind of starts exploding. They're all helping each other go through these big rocks, and eventually they do reach the end of the cave and they run out, but unfortunately they are still on the run, which is kind of a big part of this album. They are just fleeing. And that is essentially it for the No Way Back chapter. There just wasn't very much to go off of just because there's really no kind of deep lore the way the other concept films do. But this was a really fun one and a very fun kind of first chapter to come out, building promotion for this album. So I liked it.
Maybe the most committed I've been to a video probably ever.
Chapter 2 was Big Girls Don't Cry. Howdy. I went for a J inspired fit. I am obsessed with this picture. I really hope you guys are enjoying how committed I am to the bit of changing outfits. Big Girls Don't Cry was actually my favorite chapter out of the ones that came out. By all means, it probably wasn't the most like cool in terms of effects and stuff like that, but I just love the aesthetic of Cowboys, and I thought that these concept pictures were actually the best from all of the albums that we unboxed, so I was very, very excited. This one also started out with an epic title card, Big Girls Don't Cry, and they are in the desert. They are running away from these bat people who are after them. They are looking incredibly handsome, and then they also have Suha with them. I would assume serving face. We actually don't see her face at all during these. During their first leg of escape, Jake starts having these like weird tingly head visions, and he sees this bar. They eventually make their way to this bar. They enter and they see that it's full of these like big burly guys, but no matter to them, they're just having fun. They're grabbing a beer, enjoying each other's company. Eventually they start having these like weird competitions with some of the guys. Sunu gets into this like arm wrestling fight and he beats them, obviously. And Nikki also like challenges one of them to a game of pool, and the guy is so confused because Nikki is like killing it. In fact, he's so good there's literal lightning coming out. And then we see that Sung-hoon, looking incredibly gorgeous, spots that somebody is messing with his girl. Not okay, dude. So what do Sung-hoon do? He makes his eyeballs roll back into his head and then he throws a dart directly into his head. And he goes and he pets her, obviously, because Sung-hoon saved the day. Eventually, they're like, okay, this is not happening. We need to leave. So then they leave the bar. And this is where we actually get the first listen to Lost Island. We had no idea what the track was called at the time, but very, very awesome track. And they get into this big RV where they're keeping these like blood popsicles and they're playing cards and they're escaping and all is well and fun and good. They actually end up at a gas station. At this gas station, Jake starts having another one of his weird tingly visions, and we don't know where it is at this time, but it looks to be like this very big majestic mansion. And he kind of looks back at the Enhypen members and gives them this concerned yet very seductive look, and that is where the concept film ends. Again, this was probably my favorites, and I also just really love Big Girls Don't Cry, so I was geeking out when this came out. It just was so cool. All right, listen, guys, we're short on budget in the costuming department. Okay, I tried to go for a J moment, but it's more like Sheen J. The third chapter of the Sin Vanish promo was for Stealer. Chapter 3, Rebellion in Escape. This one puts us right into it. They are in front of this big mansion, which might look familiar to you. It was, in fact, the mansion from Jake's tingly feelings back in Big Girls Don't Cry. So they're outside this mansion. We can see that it's kind of dark out. There's security guards who are like looking for them. And he sees Jungwon like in the light, kind of putting a funny pose. Nikki's inside, like eating apples. So clearly they're getting away with whatever it is that they're doing, and they are looking for this red orb. I'm not entirely sure what the red orb is or what it represents. I'm assuming we're the red orb as in engines. So, I mean, like, I hope. But they are still on the run. And eventually we see that they do in fact find it and steal it, and they are actively running away and causing all kinds of mayhem. Jake is like stealing water, which he did eventually pay for, so I guess it's not really stolen. But anyway, I just thought the shot was so funny, I had to include it. Jay is also like checking himself out mid-run. I mean, just he looks absolutely gorgeous. I too would check myself out. They really don't seem to be taking it that seriously. They also kind of stopped to play a game with the orb. They're drinking and walking around this like area, just, you know, they're having fun. We also get this really cute shot of Heesung. I had to include it, but him with the orb, I just thought it was so adorable. In the middle of this like really crazy escape, you would think it's like all serious and stuff, but actually they're having a lot of fun with it. Eventually we see these big black things of smoke kind of popping out from the distance. The smoke starts to chase them, and so now things are actually getting a little bit more serious because they are now running away from the smoke, which I'm assuming is the bats from No Way Back, and just in general, what they are running away from is taking form in this like mist. They then start running out in this area where Nikki, you can see, is like running out, and they don't see that behind them is a massive fruit truck, and Nikki does not get out of the way, and apparently neither does Sunghoon, Heesung, and Jae, who start floating in the air because they all got hit by this big car of fruits. We also get the best shot ever. Jae serving insane levels of just face while cherries and apples and pomegranates are flying all around him. They do all end up on the floor totally and completely fried because they just got hit by a truck. But sadly for them too, they are down, which means the ghost mist people are upon us and they start attacking them. They also lose sight of the red orb during all this, so I didn't include a shot of this, but the orb is somewhere like kind of flying around. It flew out of their hand, so we actually have no idea where the red orb ended up. I think they know that whoever these bat people who are coming after them are probably closer than they think. Whoever was in the mist is not the final boss, but it is someone who is eventually going to try to get them. The final shot of this concept chapter, if you will, is actually of the mystical ghost kind of flying around and then eventually flying right up into us. So we're doomed, basically. Apologies, my audio cut out for the last explanation, but we are actually at the last one, the knife chapter. As you can tell, this is also when we started running out of budget, but I did try to include the best ones. This did print out twice, although they are actually different photos now that I look at it. Anywho, this one also throws you right into things. It starts with the members all like laying down on the ground wearing all this tactical gear, hence my fishing jacket. I have no tactical gear, but it's raining and there are like choppers flying around because they are still on the run as they have been for all these other chapters. We see that eventually Sunny wakes up, and as well as the other members, and their eyes start doing this like weird thing. I'm assuming that's each of their powers kicking in. Eventually they all get up and they know that it is time to start running. They're running through these like back alleyways. They come head to head in this alleyway with this group here, which happens to be like the evil guys. They wear these like hats with like spikes coming out of them, and they are clearly the ones that are chasing them. Not just the main guy with the spiky face, but also everyone who is with him. We get some sick shots of like knives flying around. Obviously, it's a knife, blah, blah, blah. But they are on the run. In the midst of all of this running, we actually start to see some of the different abilities that they have. One being Jay. He actually is able to grow out his fangs and he like plucks them out and they become knives and he throws them to kind of begin taking some of them down. We also see Nikki is able to like grow out these like claws out of his hands and he is also able to turn those into knives, so we just see them take them down in various different ways, which is sick, but they are still kind of running away from everything, so they're holding their own, but also the people who are after them are actually coming after them very well. Like they are meeting them up at every stop. They do eventually meet again in the alleyway and they are getting ready to fight. They actually start jumping on the car and they begin to take flight and turn into teeny tiny little metal bats. They start hitting everyone that's down there until eventually they reach this like it looks like a portal to me, but I'm assuming it's some sort of door. Jungwon is kind of leading the pack and he's like putting his hand out towards it and they're all kind of looking cool and suave. They see that the people who are after them are actually catching up and they all kind of dig out their knives and they start hitting this wall right here, which eventually cracks and explodes and sends them flying back. Iconic shot. I made that into a sticker in my text messages. It just whenever you want to say you're blown away. Perfect opportunity. We get a final shot showing all of the different members with their different kinds of knives, and that's it. That was the end of the concept trailer. It's not very long. You do hear part of the song, but I'm pretty sure Knife came out only a couple of days after that, which is really good. So iconic, if you ask me. All right, there you have it. That was me explaining Enhypen's entire cinematic lore. If you actually want to know, like, really deep, especially more into like the webtoon elements, I know the webtoon is airing right now on Crunchyroll, but it is ongoing. It didn't drop all as one season, so I might do a review video on that. We shall see. Like I said in the beginning, I have seen multiple interpretations of how you're supposed to watch these concept trailers. Some people say that it makes sense to watch them from the latest to the first. I did actually attempt to watch them that way. I think an argument can be made, but just because they did come out in chronological order, that felt best to me to present them as such. Let me know your interpretations of these concept films or if you have any other thoughts. I actually minored in film when I was in college, so I love talking about movies. This is a new style of video for me. Let me know if you liked it. I feel like I yearn to talk. I actually had a lot of fun researching this. I think I would love to do videos like this for lores of other groups. I obviously know Enhypen's lore very well as an Enhypen fan, but I would love to get to know other groups' lore. So if you have any other groups who have lore, comment them down below. I will maybe try to get into that. Enhypen's The Sin Vanish came out a couple of weeks ago, so make sure to go stream that and buy it. And yeah, stay happy, stay healthy, eat a snack, and I will see you soon with another video.